What would happen if tomorrow brought an unexpected health crisis, a financial emergency, or a moment when you simply couldn't speak for yourself? If you're 70 or older, these aren't comfortable questions to think about, but they're incredibly important ones. Today, we're going to talk about 5 essential preparations that can help you navigate this stage of life with confidence, dignity, and peace of mind. These aren't just bureaucratic tasks to check off a list. They're life-changing steps that can protect you, support your loved ones, and ensure that your later years are lived exactly the way you want them to be. Let me be honest with you from the start. None of us can predict what tomorrow will bring. We can't control whether we'll wake up healthy or face a sudden challenge. But what we can control is how prepared we are when those moments arrive. And preparation, my friends, isn't about being pessimistic or dwelling on worst-case scenarios. It's about being wise, being proactive, and being kind to yourself and the people who care about you. Think of it as building a foundation of security that lets you enjoy each day without constantly worrying about what might go wrong. The first essential we need to discuss is something that many people avoid because it feels uncomfortable, but it's absolutely critical. Having an up-to-date health directive. You might have heard this called an advanced directive or a living will. Whatever you call it, it's a document that speaks for you when you can't speak for yourself. It tells doctors, hospitals, and your family exactly what kind of medical care you want or don't want if you become seriously ill or unable to communicate your wishes. Without this document, your loved ones are left guessing about what you would have wanted, and that uncertainty can tear families apart during already difficult times. Let me tell you about Linda. She was 78, vibrant, active, and completely unprepared for the stroke that hit her one Tuesday morning. Linda had always meant to fill out those health directive forms her doctor had given her, but like many of us, she kept putting it off. There never seemed to be a good time, and honestly thinking about it made her uncomfortable. When the stroke left her unable to communicate, her 3 children faced an agonizing situation. One child believed Linda would want every possible treatment to extend her life. Another felt certain their mother wouldn't want to be kept alive by machines if there was no hope of recovery. The third child was caught in the middle, paralyzed by the weight of making such enormous decisions without really knowing what their mother would have wanted. Those disagreements created months of family strain, hurt feelings, and guilt that lingered long after Linda eventually recovered enough to go home. The tragedy wasn't just the stroke. It was that all of that family pain could have been prevented if Linda had taken an afternoon to complete her health directive. So, what exactly should your health directive include? First, it should specify what kinds of medical treatments you want or don't want in various situations. Do you want to be resuscitated if your heart stops? Do you want to be on a ventilator if you can't breathe on your own? Would you want a feeding tube if you couldn't eat? These are deeply personal decisions, and there are no right or wrong answers. What matters is that your choices are clear and documented. Second, your health directive should name someone you trust to make medical decisions on your behalf if you can't make them yourself. This person, often called a healthcare proxy or medical power of attorney, should be someone who understands your values, respects your wishes, and can handle the pressure of making difficult decisions during emotional times. Choose someone who lives relatively close by, if possible, and make sure they're willing to take on this responsibility before you name them. I encourage you to make this a priority this week. Talk to your doctor about it at your next appointment. Many hospitals and senior centers offer free resources to help you complete these documents. And once you've done it, don't just file it away and forget about it. Review your health directive at least once a year, or any time there's a major change in your health or family situation. Your wishes might evolve, and that's perfectly okay. The important thing is keeping the document current and making sure the people who need to know about it, especially your healthcare proxy and your doctor, have copies. Asterisk, asterisk, 2. A reliable support network, asterisk, asterisk. The second essential is something that might sound simple but becomes increasingly precious as we age. A reliable support network. I'm not talking about having hundreds of friends or being the most popular person in your community. I'm talking about having a small circle of people you can truly count on. People who will check on you, help you when you need it, and provide companionship that keeps loneliness at bay. This might include family members, close friends, neighbors, or people from your faith community or social groups. What matters isn't the size of your network, It's the quality and reliability of those connections. Let me share Frank's story with you. Frank was 74 and lived alone in the house he'd owned for 40 years. He was independent, a bit stubborn about accepting help, and generally preferred to handle things on his own. Frank had friendly relationships with his neighbors, but nothing he'd call close friendships. Then, one winter morning, Frank slipped on ice in his driveway and broke his ankle. He managed to call for help and got to the hospital, but when he came home with a cast and strict orders to stay off his feet for 6 weeks, he realized just how isolated he'd become. He couldn't drive to get groceries. He couldn't take out his trash. He couldn't even get his mail without risking another fall. Frank's neighbor Sally noticed his car hadn't moved in a few days and knocked on his door to check on him. When she learned about his situation, Sally didn't hesitate. She organized a simple rotation among the neighbors to help with Frank's basic needs until he recovered. That experience changed Frank's perspective entirely. He realized that being independent didn't mean being alone, and that accepting help wasn't weakness. It was wisdom. Building a support network takes intention, especially if you're naturally independent or if you've lost touch with people over the years. Start by thinking about who in your life you could call in an emergency. If that list is very short or non-existent, it's time to take action. Reconnect with old friends, even if it's been years. Join a local senior center, a walking group, a book club, or a faith community. Volunteer somewhere you care about. You'll meet like-minded people while contributing something meaningful. Get to know your neighbors. Sometimes the people closest to you geographically can become the most valuable part of your support system. And remember, support goes both ways. Be the neighbor who checks in on others. Offer rides to appointments when you can. Share a meal. These acts of kindness build the kind of reciprocal relationships that become lifelines when you need them most. SAN. An organized financial safety net, asterisk, asterisk. The third essential might not be as emotionally charged as health directives or as warm as friendships, but it's absolutely crucial, an organized financial safety net. I've seen too many people in their 70s and 80s face financial chaos after a sudden health crisis or the loss of a spouse, simply because they didn't have their financial house in order. You don't need to be wealthy to have financial security. You need to be organized, informed, and prepared. Mary was 81 when her husband of 57 years passed away suddenly. She was devastated emotionally, but what made her situation manageable was that Mary and her husband had always kept their finances organized. They had a binder with all their important documents clearly labeled: bank accounts, insurance policies, investment statements, pension information, social security details, their will, and contact information for their financial advisor and attorney. Mary knew exactly where everything was, what they had, and what bills needed to be paid. She'd reviewed everything with her husband just a few months before he died, not because they expected anything to happen, but because they believed in being prepared. That organization didn't take away Mary's grief, but it did remove an enormous source of potential stress during an already difficult time. She could focus on healing and adjusting to her new reality instead of scrambling to figure out financial logistics. So, what does getting your financial safety net in order actually look like? Start by taking inventory of everything you have. List all your sources of income: social security, pensions, retirement accounts, any investments. Then list your regular expenses: housing, utilities, food, medications, insurance premiums. Are you living within your means, or are you slowly depleting savings? Do you have an emergency fund set aside for unexpected expenses like a major home repair or medical bill? If not, even setting aside a small amount each month can gradually build that cushion. Next, gather all your important financial documents and put them in one secure, organized location. This includes bank statements, insurance policies, investment accounts, pension documents, social security information, your will, deeds to property, titles to vehicles, and contact information for financial professionals. Make sure at least one trusted person knows where these documents are and how to access them if needed. Review all your insurance policies: health insurance, supplemental insurance, homeowners or renters insurance, and long-term care insurance if you have it. Are your coverages adequate? Are there gaps that could leave you vulnerable? As circumstances change, your insurance needs might change too. Don't forget about your will and estate planning. If you haven't updated your will in years, It's time for a review. Laws change, families change, and your wishes might have evolved. Consider setting up a power of attorney for financial matters, so someone you trust can handle your finances if you become unable to do so. This is different from a healthcare proxy. It specifically deals with paying bills, managing accounts, and handling financial decisions. If all of this feels overwhelming, you don't have to do it alone. Many communities offer free or low-cost financial counseling for seniors. You might also consider working with a financial advisor or attorney who specializes in elder law. Yes, there might be some cost involved, but the peace of mind and protection you gain is worth far more than the expense. Asterisk, asterisk 4. A personalized wellness routine. Asterisk, asterisk. Now let's talk about the fourth essential. A personalized wellness routine. Notice I said personalized because wellness after 70 doesn't look the same for everyone. What works for your neighbor or your friend might not work for you, and that's perfectly fine. Your wellness routine should be tailored to your specific needs, abilities, preferences, and health conditions. The goal is to support your physical health, mental sharpness, and emotional well-being in ways that fit your life and that you can sustain over time. Let me introduce you to Bill. Bill was 73 when his wife of 48 years passed away from cancer. The grief hit him hard, and for months, Bill struggled to find motivation to do much of anything. He stopped going to his weekly card games. He ate whatever was easiest, which usually meant not very nutritious meals. He spent most days sitting in his recliner watching television. His daughter noticed that Bill seemed to be declining rapidly, not just emotionally but physically too. She gently encouraged him to talk to his doctor about how he was feeling. The doctor, compassionate and practical, suggested that Bill needed a wellness routine, something structured but flexible that could help him physically and give him a reason to get up each morning. Together, they came up with a simple plan. Bill would take a 20-minute walk every morning with his dog. He'd commit to eating at least one nutritious meal a day, even if it was simple. And he'd try one activity each week that brought him any small amount of joy, whether that was listening to music, working in his garden, or calling an old friend. It took time, but slowly Bill started to feel a bit more like himself. The walks gave him fresh air and gentle exercise. Taking care of his dog gave him purpose. The weekly activities reminded him that there were still things in life that could bring him moments of happiness, even in the midst of grief. Bill's wellness routine wasn't elaborate or expensive. It was simple, personalized to what he could realistically do, and focused on the basics: movement, nutrition, and connection. So what might your wellness routine include? First, some form of physical activity that you actually enjoy. This doesn't mean running marathons or spending hours at the gym. It might be walking, gentle yoga, swimming, gardening, dancing in your living room, or chair exercises if mobility is limited. The key is moving your body regularly in ways that feel good and that you'll stick with. Even 10 or 15 minutes of movement daily makes a difference. Second, pay attention to what you're eating. You don't need a perfect diet, but you do need adequate nutrition. Focus on getting enough protein to maintain muscle mass, plenty of fruits and vegetables for vitamins and fiber, and enough water to stay hydrated. If cooking has become difficult or you've lost interest in food, look for simple solutions. Pre-cut vegetables, rotisserie chicken, frozen fruits, smoothies, or meal delivery services designed for seniors. Third, take care of your mental and emotional health. This might mean staying socially connected, even when it's hard. It might mean practicing stress management techniques like deep breathing, meditation, or prayer. It might mean allowing yourself to feel your emotions without judgment and seeking help from a counselor or support group if you're struggling. Fourth, don't skip your regular health checkups and screenings. Prevention and early detection are powerful tools for maintaining wellness. Keep up with your eye exams, dental visits, hearing checks, and whatever health screenings your doctor recommends. Finally, keep your mind active. Read, do puzzles, learn something new, have conversations about topics that interest you. Mental stimulation is just as important as physical activity for healthy aging. Asterisk, asterisk 5. A plan. For meaning and purpose, asterisk, asterisk. The fifth and final essential might be the most important of all, even though it's the least tangible. A plan for meaning and purpose. Study after study has shown that people who have a strong sense of purpose live longer, recover from illness more quickly, and report greater happiness and life satisfaction. Purpose gives you a reason to get up in the morning. It provides resilience during difficult times. It connects you to something larger than yourself and reminds you that your life still matters, that you still have something valuable to contribute to the world. Gloria was 77 and had been a teacher for 40 years before retiring. For the first year or two of retirement, Gloria enjoyed the freedom from schedules and responsibilities. She traveled, spent time with grandchildren, and caught up on hobbies she'd neglected during her working years. But as time went on, Gloria started feeling adrift. She missed the sense of making a difference in young people's lives. She missed the structure and social connections that work had provided. She missed feeling needed. One day, while visiting her local library, Gloria noticed a sign asking for volunteer tutors to help children with reading. She inquired, went through the training, and started volunteering 2 afternoons a week. That simple decision transformed Gloria's retirement. She found that working with struggling readers gave her the same sense of purpose and fulfillment that teaching had provided. The children benefited from her patience and expertise, and Gloria benefited from their enthusiasm and progress. She had structure to her weeks again, social connections with other volunteers and library staff, and most importantly, she had a reason to wake up excited about the day ahead. Your purpose doesn't have to be volunteering, and it doesn't have to involve other people if that's not your style. Purpose might come from deepening relationships with family or friends, from pursuing a creative hobby like painting or writing, from learning about topics that fascinate you, from spiritual or religious practice, from caring for a garden or pets, or from working on a project that has meaning to you. What matters is that you have something in your life that gives you a sense of direction, that makes you feel connected and engaged rather than just passing time. If you're not sure what your purpose is right now, that's okay. Start by reflecting on what brings you joy, what you're naturally drawn to, what you were passionate about in earlier stages of life. Sometimes purpose evolves from paying attention to what energizes you versus what drains you. Be open to trying new things. Say yes to opportunities that sound interesting, even if they push you slightly out of your comfort zone. Talk to other people in your age group about what gives their lives meaning. Their answers might spark ideas you hadn't considered. Asterisk, asterisk. Taking action, asterisk, asterisk. Now, let's step back and look at these 5 essentials together. A health directive that protects your wishes and your family, a support network that provides connection and practical help, a financial safety net that offers security and reduces stress, a wellness routine that supports your body and mind, and a sense of purpose that makes life meaningful and worth living. These aren't just random suggestions, they work together to create a foundation for aging with dignity, confidence, and joy. I know that working on all 5 of these areas might feel overwhelming, especially if you're starting from scratch. So let me offer you some practical advice. Don't try to do everything at once. Pick one essential that feels most urgent or most doable for you right now and focus on that. Maybe you start by scheduling an appointment with your doctor to discuss your health directive. Maybe you reach out to an old friend you've been meaning to reconnect with. Maybe you spend an afternoon organizing your financial documents. Maybe you commit to a simple daily walk. Maybe you give some thought to what would make your life feel more meaningful. Any of these steps is a good starting point. Once you've made progress on one essential, move to another. This isn't a race, and there's no prize for finishing first. What matters is making steady progress toward being more prepared, more secure, and more intentional about how you're living this stage of your life. And don't be afraid to ask for help. Whether it's from family, friends, professionals, or community resources, there are people who can support you in working on these essentials. Some of you might be thinking that it's too late for you to work on these things. Let me tell you clearly and directly, it is never too late. Whether you're 70, 80, 90, or beyond, taking steps to prepare and protect yourself is worthwhile. Every bit of preparation you do makes a difference. Even small actions can provide significant peace of mind and protection. Don't let regret about what you haven't done.